In January 2021, Rajender Kumar, a 35-year-old from a village in Gurdaspur district of Punjab, bought a Motorola One Action mobile phone on Flipkart. He paid 9,000 rupees, and within days, the screen was blanking out. Within weeks, the device was completely hanging. The Motorola customer service representative eventually told him that the defect was beyond the company's capacity to repair. And Motorola neither replaced the phone nor refunded him. Rajender went where any citizen of India with a defective product is meant to go, his district consumer disputes redressal commission. He did receive his refund, but it was on 8th of November 2023, 2 years, 9 months and 10 days after he purchased his device. This is a video about what Motorola has done by getting an ex-parte order against these kind of videos, which are critical about the company's products and the negative tech reviews around. It is claimed they are defamatory, and the order which it is obtained has restrained not only defendants, but any future person who might one day post something similar from publishing anything Motorola considers defamatory of its phones, and it is happening more often in defamation cases than we know. And I want to talk about it because according to me, this case is a representative of a growing body of cases we call SLAPP suits, which is SLAPP, which is for its full form called a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And why every one of us on the internet who reads the reviews, even if we don't make them, before buying a phone, any home appliance, needs to be paying attention. As Wikipedia puts it, strategic lawsuits against public participation are intended to censor, intimidate, and silence critics by burdening them with the cost of a legal defense until they abandon their criticism. So let us start with the order itself. On 8th of April 2026, a district court in Bangalore passed an ex parte ad interim temporary injunction in favor of Motorola. Let me explain these technical phrases because, thank God, everyone is not a lawyer. So first, ex parte means that no defendant which is named in the case was heard, and the order was issued without offering them an opportunity of hearing, which they will get later on. It is the most drastic thing under law that a civil court can do to any kind of free speech because it shuts down the speech before the defendant gets a chance of audience before the court. Ad interim means that it's a temporary order pending the next hearing in which they will appear. Injunction means, in this case, the court tells the defendants and the platforms to pull down the content. Now, what reasoning does this order contain for doing this? I've gone through it and I'm going to paraphrase the operative part. I'm doing this because court orders are public records. The judge writes that Motorola has made out a prima facie case for this ex parte temporary injunction, and that if the injunction is not granted, it will be more inconvenient to the plaintiff and hardship will be caused. I'm going to get into how this varies from the law which has been stated by the Supreme Court on ex parte ad interim injunctions when people are conducting any kind of public interest reporting activity. What's really concerning to me is that the order is limited to, at best, 2 paragraphs of reasoning and no actual engagement with the underlying content of the videos. So it doesn't have the titles, scripts, or thumbnails. It just refers to what the plaintiff is saying. So this absence of a discussion and a determination and the absence of analysis is important in an ex parte because you're taking an emergency relief. So to look at the law, we need to look at what the plaintiff actually filed in the court, and this has been made public by a lot of people. This is what is called as their legal memorandum, which is called a plaint. It runs into about 30 pages and it ends with a schedule, which is a table. The table lists about 360 URLs. And there are 17 creators which are named, 6 platforms, and there's one John Doe. I'll get to the John Doe a little later. They also claim that there's some kind of conspiracy behind this and there's some kind of coordination of negative product reviews on Motorola smartphones. And let's look at what's in the table very quickly. Let's scroll through it. And now what you notice is that a lot of them happen to be YouTube videos from mainstream tech review channels. They're not only doing this for Motorola, they do it for many kind of smartphones which are released all across. There are Instagram reels, there are tweets, there are also Facebook posts, and they also happen to be news reports from Hindustan Times, Indian Express, and Live Hindustan, because a lot of the Hindi and English news portals now also do product reviews. And some of this content, I'm just pointing it out, happens to be 11 years old. So if you look at entry number 64 in the schedule, it's an article from February 2015 with a affectionate throwback title piece titled Motor Ritzer X1 is a blast from the past and a blast for the future. Now, Motorola is claiming that this is defamatory for the use of the word blast, which is used as a pun in the title of an 11-year-old article about one of their classic phones. If this content was causing Motorola irreparable harm, which is another ingredient of an ex parte ad interim injunction, the question is, why did they wait 11 years? Now, as I said, I'll get to the 24th defendant, Ashok Kumar / John Doe. Age not known, father's name not known, address not known to the plaintiff. John Doe is not a named party, and it's claimed under law that there is an anticipation that the parties which are not named defendants, a plaintiff should have the ability of enforcing this injunction rather than going back to court and saying that we got to know that another person is also defaming us. In addition to them, there may be more who may be doing it. The court usually takes these statements with a sense of responsibility. It trusts it because all pleadings are supported by an affidavit. And because if you look at the operative part of the order, it restrains, quote, any substantial, similar, future content. And the court has issued a prior restraint in this case on content that does not even exist yet, made by people whose name nobody knows as claimed by Motorola. Now, this proceeds on a blanket legal theory that if any video says that don't buy Motorola, for instance, it is by definition itself defamatory. This is where I want to bring in the Supreme Court, because about 2 years ago in Bloomberg Television versus Z Entertainment Enterprises, a 3-judge bench laid down 4 principles which warn against the routine grant of ex parte ad interim injunctions and cautions courts not to do them. It says it's an extraordinary measure. Now, firstly, the criteria for grant of an interim injunction is a 3-part test in which a plaintiff has to show that they have a good prima facie case. There's a balance of convenience in their favor, which means that the interim injunction should be granted. There's an irreparable harm which can be caused to them if the interim injunction is not granted. And this basically also involves a balance of equities in which it is assessed that has the plaintiff really approached the court with any kind of delay, or it has come with urgency? Is there any conduct which disentitles it from an interim injunction? For instance, on a balance of equities, is there a free speech interest? Can it be proportionally met if there's a blanket injunction which is granted? So hence, this is a determination which needs to be in every injunction order. Ex parte injunctions, especially in defamation cases, should be granted only when the content is demonstrably false. These are the phrases used by the Supreme Court. And that is a very high bar. It is not mere inconvenience to a plaintiff, which means that it needs to be malicious, which means it needs to be patently false. 3, pre-trial injunctions, which are these kind of interim injunctions against a publication, can act as a death sentence to the underlying content, to the material, to the speech. Because before the time the trial ends, which takes, let's say, 3 years on a shorter timeline, the news cycle has moved on and the criticism has died. And finally, and this is the Supreme Court, it says that SLAPP suits exist in India. There's a specific paragraph in the judgment which says that powerful corporations or interests can use ex parte injunctions in defamation cases. Now compare that to the Motorola order, and I would say, please come to your own individual determinations on this. Again, even if you're not a lawyer. Now, also, I want to step back a little bit from the law, just focusing on why do tech reviews matter. Now, India is Motorola's second biggest market in the world. As its own claim, 21% of their global smartphone shipments come from here, and over 90% of the Motorolas that they sell in India are sub $250 devices. So they're below, I would say, 25,000 rupees. They are smartphones which are actually purchased by Indians. They do like Motorola devices. And that is the budget segment for customers like Rajender Kumar from Gurdaspur. And how does that segment decide what to buy? Let's step back. Let's think about it. Not by reading detailed tech specifications. They usually watch YouTube. They watch Reels. They ask their friends. And their friends usually share something on WhatsApp and say, check out this review by this tech reviewer. Also, as per the India Justice Consumer Report, for people like Rajender Kumar is a very typical example where at least 1 in 3 cases in consumer courts in the country is pending for more than 3 years. And this is especially prevalent outside the metropolitan cities of Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai. And more than half the presidents and member posts in state consumer commissions are vacant. So if it means that from a judgment of the district consumer court, if a company appeals to the state consumer commission, then that appeal can basically gridlock the payment of the compensation. Now, if you're a young man or a young woman whose 9,000 rupee phone has stopped working, you have 2 options basically. Option 1, 2 years, 9 months in a consumer commission. Option 2, warn your friends in a WhatsApp group, or if ambitious, you record a reel. And this is where the problem starts for companies which are now approaching courts with SLAPP suits. Now, let me be a little much more direct. India has for decades been treated as a dumping ground for substandard products, not only in electronics. The one defense consumers have built for themselves in these last 10 years is an informal and often a messy, sometimes brilliant ecosystem of reviewing products. And this is why tech reviews matter. To be fair, I know just anecdotally, there may be genuine problems. Some creators may take money from brands and may not disclose it to their audience. Some reviews may just be lazy, uninformed, and some are just sensationalistic. These are real problems of media literacy, which do require some amount of regulation. However, blanket ex parte injunction against 360 URLs, 24 defendants, and every piece of future content that may one day be quote unquote substantially similar is not the answer to any of this. It is just censorship. Before I end, I also want to mention a judgment from the Delhi High Court in 2011, which according to me is still one of the best things Indian judges have ever written on free speech, defamation, and intellectual property in India, which is in Tata Sons versus Greenpeace. And it was a defamation claim. It was also a trademark claim. And Tata claimed that and sued Greenpeace over a cute Pac-Man style game called Tata versus Turtle. Unfortunately, the URLs are not working any longer. And it was engaging people and making them play a Pac-Man game by using the Tata logo and showing the Olive Ridley turtle, the Tata's Mudra Port project, and the court refused the injunction. And according to Justice Ravindra Bhatt, who wrote the judgment, stated this is because courts world over have set a great value to free speech and its salutary catalyzing effect on public debate and discussion on issues that concern people at large. The issue which the defendant's game seeks to address is also one of public concern. The court cannot also sit in value judgment over the medium of expression chosen by the defendant, since in a democracy, speech can include forms such as caricature, lampoon, memes, parody, and other manifestations of wit. In a democracy, freedom of speech includes the reel today, it includes a reaction video. It includes the lampoon, the satire, the parody, and the pun. The large company does not get to make that go because it was inconvenient. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please do share it with a friend who always goes to YouTube to check out a review before they buy a phone. If you like our work at IFF, please do consider donating. We hope we can improve them in future and we would really value your reviews. So keep reviewing. Thank you so much.